All right, guys, how's it going? So I have been to the cafe this morning and I have reviewed today's Spanish football dailies for you. There is a couple of things to do with Liverpool that I want to talk to you about. Dean Huijsen, Luis Diaz, but really there's not a lot of exciting, detail in this video, so you might not be that interested. If you are interested, please continue watching. And if you want a more detailed look into Spanish football, what's on the front pages of these papers today, and something really interesting about Barcelona that I never knew, then why not check out my other video on my other channel, Golazo España. It will come up at the end of this video in one of the boxes. I'll make sure the exact video there's to click on to take you over there, or the circle of the channel name, it'll say Golazo España. Will be on the screen. I'll read the video description, but yeah, there's a detailed video on there, and I know some of you are enjoying it. You come along, you guys, and you say, love your vids done. I like to support your channel. If you want to support me, it'd be a big help if you went over there and dropped me a sub, all right? But if Spanish football's not your thing, just go over there and sub it and leave it at that. You know what I mean? You don't have to watch them. So, let's get stuck into it, guys. I shit you not, right? By the way, there is something really fucking interesting regarding Barcelona and that up there today. There is. There really is. Anyway, I'm sure you don't give a fuck about Barcelona. But we're going to talk about an article that was in Sport today, which is a pro-Barcelona newspaper. I think it's important to stress that because they're focusing on Real Madrid's transfer plans. So they're not going to be close to Real Madrid. But it is Dean Huijsen. And basically Sport say that, their sporting department, Real, led by Jose Angel Sanchez, who was once part of the L4 consortium that attempted to buy Liverpool when Dubai and all that was kicking around. Jose Angel Sanchez and Huni Calafat has been scouting the market for months to identify centre-backs who can fix the defensive problems at the club. In recent months, the club has stepped up efforts to close the signing of one of the defenders on their priority list to reinforce the heart of the defence. Players such as Yoro, Saliba, Huijsen and Hincapé. The operation for Huijsen is the most advanced. That's a big claim. The Spanish-Dutch player who turns 20 on the 14th of April impressed in his debut for Luis de la Fuente's national team, and Real Madrid have moved fast to try and seal his arrival at the Bernabeu this coming summer. He currently plays for Bournemouth, who are willing to organise a bidding war to extract the highest possible fee from his departure beyond his €50 million release clause. The last name that has been on the radar of Sanchez and Calafat for months is Hincapé, the 23-year-old Ecuadorian centre-back. He's a Bayer Leverkusen player. He has the approval of Xabi Alonso, who is expected to take over as Real Madrid coach in the near future. Hincapé has gained status under Xabi at Bayer and is a centre-back with many suitors. But in Valdebebas, which is Real Madrid HQ, they take for granted that the influence Xabi has over him will be enough to convince him if Madrid decide to go after him. He is under contract until 2029, and his release clause is also €50 million, just like Huijsen's. Now remember, both Huijsen and Hincapé have been linked with Liverpool. Huijsen looks very difficult, I think, but Hincapé, you don't know. But this is their latest take on it, all right? So I know some of you really would love to see Dean Huijsen signed by Liverpool. I would give just about anything to see that happen, guys. I cannot explain to you how much I rate him. What they're saying here, though, is they're making out that Real Madrid are really desperately trying to sign a centre-back for the summer, which goes against everything that we hear from the Madrid-based media. They were looking at a centre-back for 2026, next year. Are we in 2025 now? Yes. So they were looking for one for next year. But Huijsen, maybe they need to make an exception because he's an exceptional player. I would, Liverpool, the last I heard from someone connected within the club was that Huijsen was a player of interest was the exact quote. I'd be very surprised if we made an attempt to sign him. I don't think we would succeed. But it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some propaganda suggesting that we're in for him. But yeah, I think he's going to go to Real Madrid at some point. Right, Marca on Barcelona's financial crisis and transfer implications. So this is the other way around. This is now a Real Madrid bias publication, if you like. reporting on their rivals, on Barcelona and the financial crisis that we've been discussing this week. This is relevant because it could affect not only Luis Diaz, because Luis Diaz obviously wants to sign for Barcelona, and Barcelona have been trying to get him for some time, but it could also have an effect at Liverpool in terms of the transfer budget, because I'm convinced that Liverpool have been looking at selling Núñez and Diaz to give them a good chunk of the summer transfer budget. So you might see other players linked with an exit now instead of Diaz. So we'll have to see. Let me explain this to you, and it might make things a little bit clearer. Marca have an article on Barcelona's latest financial crisis. They've lost their 1-1 status and now have to follow a 1-4 status. If after I've read all this to you, you do not understand what that means, please ask and I will tell you. The club must validate the operation of the VIP boxes before July to return to the 1-1 rule. Barcelona faces another challenging summer. La Liga has announced that the team does not have fair play for next season, which represents a huge step backwards ahead of the next transfer window. Barcelona will have significant trouble making signings in the summer, as they have no room on the payroll. This is nothing new. They've already suffered this situation in recent years, with their ability to make signings severely limited, which is why they couldn't sign Diaz last summer. The thing is, they thought they were out of this hole, as La Liga confirmed in January, because they did go back to the 1-1 situation, and now they're back in it after the latter retracted its statement 2 days ago. The reason is 100 million euros has disappeared. It's just lost it. It's gone. Where is it? Where's the 100 million euros? The money from the sale of the VIP boxes. And that money was what was used to go back into the 1-1 rule, right? Initially, the deal seemed done. But surprisingly, the club didn't include it in the profit and loss account of the interim financial statement submitted to La Liga in March. The reason is that the new auditor didn't reflect it because he didn't agree with the transaction. The result is that the club is left without fair play, which would mean not being able to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor in the summer, right? At the moment, those players are allowed to continue playing for them, right? But they won't be able to play in the summer if this isn't rectified, next season if it's not rectified. And now what? This is what fans are asking. What does the club have to do to overcome this situation so that it can return to the 1-1 rule in the next transfer window? The first thing is to prove that the sale of the Camp Nou VIP boxes is a success by contributing the entire amount of the 100 million euro transaction. And that has to be done before June 30th, when the financial statements are finalised. Mark my words, Luis Diaz will be like that, watching what's going on. The problem is that this situation once again ties up Deco, the sporting director at Barca, and Flick when it comes to compiling next season's squad. The sporting director doesn't know how much money he has available to sign players. At this point, none. Unless they start selling players. And even then, the limitation when it comes to going into the transfer market is considerable because he can't sign for the same amount of money he sells. And this is where things change. It's gone from 1-1 to 1-4. To do that, he must return to the 1-1 rule, and that's not the case now. So, for example, let's say Luis Diaz costs 70 million euros. Barcelona would need to generate around 175 million pounds in player sales or wage cuts to be allowed to spend just 70 million under that 40% rule. Think about that. That's one player. 70 million euros, they've got to get 175 million in. So the situation doesn't affect the club's contract renewals. These are very important players. As during this period when they have been subject to the 1-1 rule due to fair play, they've been able to extend. So they're all right. So think Araujo, Pedri, Gavi, Inigo Martinez. They're all sorted apparently. It says here, according to La Liga sources, these renewals cannot be reversed. Okay. Mundo Deportivo, they report that Premier League referees have admitted they got it wrong by not sending off James Tarkowski for his horror tackle on Alexis McAllister in the Merseyside derby. Horror tackle. I'm sure you'd agree with that. The PGMOL has officially admitted that the decision was a mistake. You know this, right? But I'm trying to show you what their take on it is on it here. MD Mundo Deportivo highlights something important to them. And they say English referees have a history of publicly admitting their errors, something very rare in other leagues, especially Spain. The PGMOL have held their hands up in the past. In contrast, Spain's refereeing body tends to stay silent, even in the face of blatant errors. Mundo Deportivo also touches on a nugget about Mo Salah. The BBC documentary reveals that Liverpool nearly didn't sign him in 2017. I'm sure you know this. Jurgen Klopp, I think I said Klopp then, actually wanted to go for Julian Brandt instead, who was playing for Bayer Leverkusen at the time, but luckily the club went with Salah, and I might record a video about that shortly. All right, that's your lot. So basically, the update there is really about some claims regarding Dean Huijsen and Luis Diaz, who's been desperately wanting to go to Barcelona, and he was, in my opinion, their primary transfer target for this summer. So they've got a lot to do if they want to make that happen. And like I say, it's important, I think, that you know this, because I think that could have a knock-on effect to Anfield. Because if you're sat there going, you know what, we'll get rid of Nunes, we'll get rid of Diaz, that gives us X, and then do other business around that or add to it or whatever. So now Liverpool will be like, ooh, well, we might have to keep Diaz then. So does that mean someone else could be sold? And that's what I want to leave with you to think about. All right, guys? So, not seeing a lot of interaction on my channel at the moment. I know there's not a lot to talk about, really. It's a strange period at the moment, I think. But if you did watch this video, please thumbs up the video. I appreciate you. You know that. Please drop me a comment. If you want to buy me a coffee, in the cafe, hit the super thanks button, the love heart under the video. If you don't see it or you want to use another method, there are links in the video description. The Revolut being the best one, because I can just use my card in the cafe and, when I'm compiling these updates for you. But most importantly, a comment. I love to hear from you guys. It keeps me going. And that's it. All right. So if you want to go and watch the other video, there is another video. It does touch on Diaz there and Huijsen. But there's other things. All the Spanish papers are reviewed. Spanish football papers are reviewed. There is some articles inside that you might find of interest that I've gone over in Spanish football. Knowledge is power, guys. You know what I'm saying? And also there was something really interesting about Barcelona that I never knew. So Golazo España is my other channel. I'm putting stuff on there so it doesn't annoy you here if you only want the Liverpool stuff. All right. Okay, guys. I appreciate you. Thumbs up, comment, coffee. Job's a good one. I'll be live on here. I don't know what time it is because my watch has stopped working. It's 1 o'clock here. So another hour. I'll be live on here. On here. Coptalk.tv at 1 o'clock this afternoon, UK time. Maybe at 6 tonight. I'll see how I feel. I'm very tired. I've not slept for a couple of nights. But I'll be live on here at 1. Make sure you check the morning briefing. I've done a morning briefing today on my other channel. All the links are in the video description. If you open the video description, you'll go, Dunk's got some channels here. I can go, you know what I'm saying? All right? All right, guys. Take it easy.